Hello, this is Mike Vincent, and I just want to give a shout out to the Amethyst Steel Illumineers Facebook page, or Facebook group rather. I wanted to do some testing tonight for the new set and thought I might as well record it, and if people can get any kind of value out of the testing, then that's great. I'm not a professional streamer by any means. I do have a YouTube channel for reviewing horror movies, but I don't typically stream Lorcana. This is my first time actually. So I just want to go over the deck that I'm going to try tonight. The last couple sets I've been playing Purple Steel. Last set I went with a tempo list, which is Amethyst and Steel with the idea that I want to play characters early, quest hard to get to like 10 or 12, and then have some cards that are a little more mid-rangey and that can help cross the finish line, like Goat, like Locations with Queen's Castle, and get to 20. The thing I like about this deck is I find it has game against pretty much everything, though it's somewhat predicated on getting a good start. So mulliganing is really important, but I had quite a bit of success with it. I got first place in a local tournament with it, and at my set champs, I made it to the top 4. So I like the deck. It got some interesting new tools this set. In fact, I almost found there's too many new cards in Steel and Amethyst that I wanted to try. So there's some notable ones I'm not running at the moment, but this is what I'm going to try. So Maleficent, really important for getting out early. Mim Snake, good for bouncing and protecting. I've cut that from 4 to 2. I'm not sure if that's correct, but we're going to try it. Kind of excited about the new Mr. Arrow as a 2-cost inkable that quests for 2. So kind of plays well with Mr. Smee. If you don't get Smee in your opening hand, maybe you get a Mr. Arrow. I like Doc for being able to empty my hand and then refill with the draw 2. A card I really missed last set was the old Tinkerbell, but the old Steel 3-drop Tinkerbell was not great to shift onto. So when I saw we got this new awesome one, the Fast Flyer, as a evasive and quest for 2, fits really well what I'm trying to do with this deck and quest pretty hard, but it's also a great shift target for Tinkerbell. So kind of excited to be trying that again. I noticed this new Pluto getting played, the Guard Dog. And I'm kind of curious to try it out. I think because this deck is trying to play a turn 1, a turn 2, a turn 3, all strong questers, and then drop a bodyguard turn 4, I think is pretty good, and it's inkable, which is nice. I've always played Benja for item hate. I might still play Benja, but Billy Bones is interesting in that it quests for 2, it's a 2/2 inkable, but it can also destroy locations. So there's lots of matchups where Benja is not super relevant because they're not playing items, but usually most decks are going to be running either an item or a location. So I'm going to try Billy Bones, but obviously the downside is that he has to die. You can't just blow something up when he comes into play. Love Fire the Cannons. I think Smash we still need. Along Came Zeus is going to be really critical, I think, in this format. So yeah, there's obviously some notable ones here missing. I don't have Calhoun because I want to be questing rather than challenging, I find typically. The new Genie seems good, but I'm not playing that at the moment. And there's the 3-drop Goat card that's similar, the White Lotus or the White Flower or something, which I think could fit really well in this deck. Anyways, this is what we're going to try tonight. So if you have any thoughts on the deck or anything you think I should change or update. So we're just going to be playing on Inktable. And I went to the Forbidden Mountain and uploaded a bunch of the decks that did well this past weekend, all kind of top placing decks in different tournaments. So this should at least give us some representation of what the meta might look like. I think the strength of Purple Steel, though, is it's very good at reacting to the meta. So certain cards, like we have Benjas, we have Locations, we have cards like Pete we can play, which hate on songs. If Steel Songs is really good again, if there's a ton of Be Prepareds, then I think Pete will be good. At the moment, I'm not running Pete. So let's jump in. I'm just going to play and test against a variety of different decks. Typically, I like to go second just because it's more representative of how your deck might do. But I'll go first for this matchup just so we can see how it rolls. Now, I fully acknowledge that Inktable is problematic in that obviously I think the AI is just not as good as playing against a real player. So we obviously have to factor in that if we're winning, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be winning in actual tournaments. However, it's good for testing play patterns. It's good for testing against different cards. It gives you some sense of how good your deck is. So when I played against Blue Red last season, I found I was winning almost all my games quite handily. So that's a good indicator whereas I was still losing to the AI for Steel Songs, which was a good indicator that it was maybe not a great matchup. All right, so mulliganing I find in this deck is super important as I like to get early threats, so Maleficent is good. I try to get rid of my uninkables, so let's get rid of Doc and Zeus. So we got a turn 1, a turn 2, a turn 3. This looks pretty good. So I always like to have a Fire the Cannons. I find it's a really good tempo play. I think in this deck it's less relevant, though they might have a Tipo early, but okay. Well, let's try this. Since I have a turn 1, a turn 2, and a turn 3, I think I'll ink Turn of Bogs, and let's play Maleficent and pass. So I just wanted to give people a sense of how this deck works, and I want to test it against some of the new cards. So, okay, this is interesting. So we did get Tink and the Big Shift Tink. I think the Big Shift Tink less relevant in this matchup. Feels bad to ink it, but I might want the location more, to be honest. So I'm gonna controversially ink Tinkerbell and play Mr. Arrow and pass. So they haven't played any characters yet, which is good. Oh, see, there's Tipo. That's where Fire the Cannons is ideal, which I did not draw. So we're going to lose our Maleficent here. One thing I like about the new Tinkerbell is it is evasive. So let's ink one of the castles and play Tink. Pass. So as you can see already, like next... Oh, okay, there's Brawl. And there goes my Maleficent. Yeah, this is unfortunate. It's nice when you can get Fire the Cannons and take out Tipo and keep... Oh, there's Fire the Cannons, of course. Okay, well, we don't have enough ink for the castle. So I think... Let's go ahead and hit Tipo. Quest for 2. I will play the Maleficent. So I could ink the castle and play Doc to draw 2 more cards. I might just do that. Okay. So we got another Doc and a Magic Carpet. Magic Carpet's interesting. The fact that Quest for 3 is pretty amazing. And it's a 1/3, so it's kind of beefy. But obviously anything 3 willpower or less can die. So I just want to protect these characters, I think, and just keep questing. That's what I find I like to do with this deck. So though I'd love to get the Magic Carpet down, I think I'm just gonna... So this is how I usually play the deck. Just get up there in lore so that you can cross the finish line eventually. I'm gonna hang on to that Magic Carpet in case I want to play it next turn. So this is where we get into the scary zone when they start dropping Sisus. The awkward thing about Doc is when you get 2. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this. Quest with these guys. Okay, we're at 18. I think there's a decent shot that they wipe my board next turn. So I'm just gonna pass and save these Docs just in case. Okay, they're questing with Tipo. That's interesting. All right. Do they have the Be Prepared? They do. Okay. So that's why we held back the Docs. So I'm hoping now... This is always awkward. I'm going to play Mr. Smee. I'm going to play Doc and not draw. And then we'll have a draw back if we need to. Yeah, be prepared. This is why we didn't play out all our characters. Interesting. I think I'll ink, play the Doc. Oh, Goat. That's exciting. Okay, so play Goat. So now if they... And there we go. So that was a pretty smooth game 1. I find that's how a lot of games go. Of course, we're playing against the AI, but just getting a fast start. So we drop a turn 1, a turn 2, a turn 3, and then even if they wipe our board or something, we can just have enough to get across the finish line. So that was going first. I find this deck wins a lot going first. And of course, we're playing against AI, which is, not always the most valid, but that was pretty decisive. So let's let them go first. Try again. Typically, I find this to be a pretty good matchup for us. So we got our turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. I do sometimes like to mulligan for Fire the Cannons. So I'm going to get rid of these two for sure. Sometimes Fox can be good at protecting Maleficent, so I'll just throw those two back. All right. So Popsicle. I don't think we're going to need Pluto for a while, so we'll play Maleficent. I know a lot of people are playing the new one-drop Diablo, which is obviously a great card, but I don't love that it has 0 strength. As I find the Chernobyls being a 2/1 often comes in handy for trading off with important threats. So Smee tends to die a little bit more over time, but he's more resilient to like Sisu. Mr. Arrow, I'm kind of curious just to test with. So Smee might be the right thing to keep. But with the resist, this might stick around longer, and I'm kind of curious just to test it. Unfortunately, we're going to lose our Maleficent here to Tipo. Okay, so Brawl. Yeah, this isn't good. This is where, like, the God Hand for this deck is having usually 2 Maleficents, and Fire the Cannons is really handy. Okay, well, I could try to go for the Tinkerbell, although that's not as good in this matchup. So let's see if we can get some gas with Carpet. So I'll ditch the Fox. They can Brawl this, but they just played a Brawl, so hopefully they don't have, well, hopefully they don't have another one, but they do. Okay, well, this is certainly not going super well. Okay, so I'm going to Ink Chernobogs. I'm going to play Tink and Maleficent. Flaversham. That's not good. The thing I like about Big Tank, okay, here we can play the library and move Maleficent in there so that we can quest with both of these. I need to start getting some lore. And I'm going to hang on to the Tinkerbell for later. Yeah, so that kills their Tipo, but it kills our Maleficent. Both draw a card from the library, which is great. Locations usually are very good in this matchup. Okay, they killed our other Tinkerbell. This is definitely the worst case scenario, I would say, for this matchup at the moment. Okay, well, we got another Tinkerbell. But I kind of want to play that castle, because locations are good against this matchup. So let's play that. I'll ink this Tinkerbell, because next turn I can play the other Tinkerbell and pass. So they're going to have to dedicate some time to taking out my locations. Ooh, Scar. That's interesting. All right, this is looking bad, but we'll see. See, this is where playing against AI is frustrating, because they probably should have taken out one of my locations there. They did not. Okay, well, let's play Tinkerbell. Pass. Tinkerbell's great because she just 2-for-1s so often, or in best case scenario, like 3, 4, or 5-for-1s if you're playing against aggro or something. So I do find her to be a good card. And she dodges a lot of their best cards in this one, like Medusa or Brawl. Okay. So this might be a game where we potentially win, but only because the AI is somewhat incompetent. I'm tempted just to quest like crazy here. I could... Yeah, there's not much I can do here, so let's quest. So I'm going to play my dock and not draw. So I can play Snake and bounce it back. And then I'll move Tinkerbell into the library in case they kill it. And I'll move Snake into the castle in case those survive. But they probably won't pass there. Oof. Okay, so they took out castle. They didn't take out library there, which seems suspect. Ramping like crazy. So they can quest for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 next turn. So let's... I can take out the Medusa. Quest with Tink. Play Dock. Ooh, we have Fire the Cannons too, but I can't kill anything with it. So let's just move Dock into library and pass. Definitely was not the best start. Yeah, they killed Tinkerbell. This is where it's like, yeah, if we can draw a goat and quest, then we win, but they might pull this off. Ha, that's hilarious. There's the goat. All right, well, we got lucky. We will play the goat, and we'll quest with Doc, and we get to 20 in a very uninspired win there, but we got one. So let's try one more going second, just to see if we can get a better start. But this is where we have to take beating the AI with a bit of a grain of salt. Okay, I don't want Doc. I don't want Zeus. I have the Tinkerbell package, which is interesting. I have Fire the Cannons, M. Maleficent. That's good. I don't need this right away. So let's see if we can get a 2-drop. I would like a 2-drop. Or another 1-drop would be okay too. All right, we can work with this. Okay, so we don't need 2 3-drop Tinkerbells. So let's go Maleficent. Yeah, the most important thing with this deck is just being able to play a threat on turn 1, a threat on turn 2, a threat on turn 3. And there's so many cards now that quest for 2. So another 1-drop here would be ideal. Actually, what we could do is quest with Maleficent. Don't know if I need 2 smashes right now. Play Snake, bounce Maleficent, pass. Again, this is like not the ideal starts. This is a bit slow. But if you can go Maleficent, I could have played Fire the Cannons, then play another 1-drop, like another Maleficent or another Chernobog's Followers. Then things start going really well. So let's take this guy out. I think I'm going to ink Smash, and I'll play Maleficent, and I'll play Mr. Arrow. And then we can play our Tinks in a bit. So they're getting close to the kind of be prepared range, so I don't want to play too hard into that. Flaversham is always annoying. So let's quest. This is where the Pluto can be good, because I can quest with all these and then play the Pluto in bodyguard mode, and he can protect all my questers. Now, if they attack with Flaversham, though, they're not questing, and they're probably going to want to quest, honestly. So we might... So do I want the Shift Tink, or do I want the Goat? I might get greedy. Shoot. I think because they're maybe going to be board wiping soon, I'll go for the Goat. I can also sing Along Came Zeus with the Goat. So they decide to quest. Draw more cards. Okay, so I think I'm tempted to just get rid of this Flaversham while I can. So I'm gonna challenge with a goat. Finish off with Fire the Cannons. It's tempting to want to play my carpet here, but they could definitely wipe our board next turn. So I think I will be conservative and just keep questing. I could ink the Tink since I can't shift it and I won't be able to play it for a while. Or I could ink the carpet and get close to playing the Tinkerbell. Or I could just keep them both for now. I'm gonna ink the Tinkerbell. Let's see what happens. So most likely they're gonna wipe us here. Oh yeah, they played Temtoa. All right, well, things are looking pretty good here then, I would say. So we can quest, 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 quest. And for style points, we can, along came Zeus, our goat, 20. All right, so we went 3-0 against that deck. That second win doesn't mean much, but that was far more smooth. And that wasn't even like the perfect start, but it was kind of how I find a lot of these games go. So around the time where they start stabilizing, having their big threats, having all their ink, we're crossing the finish line. That's one thing I really like about this deck. All right, let's try something different. So the other thing I like about this deck is though it is very aggressive, it tends to do pretty good against the other aggro decks because you can pivot to be more controlling, which I don't like about the all-in aggro version of Amethyst Steel is that you're kind of committed to an aggro game plan. So this is one from, this made the top 16 this past weekend. So make that a deck. And just for style points, we'll let them go first. They can do their aggro thing and see if we can stop them. Okay, well, I want my Fire the Cannons. I think I want a 1-drop, and Mr. Smee is good because he's the higher power. I don't think we need Queen's Castles right away. I don't think we're too worried about items or locations, unless the new version runs it. Smash can be good for taking down bodyguards, so I think I'll keep. And the ability to shift into big tank is pretty juicy in aggro, so let's try this. All right, well, we got a 1-drop. That's all right. Okay, they have Chernobog's. I guess we can stop them from drawing, though I like to use my Fire the Cannons on things that quest for more than Chernobog's, but let's... No, I'm going to play a card. Okay. So I like having Chernobog's on board against aggro because of the 2-1, which is one thing I like about it over Diablo, is that it can trade with some of their key cards. All right, so they don't have any characters on board, which is good for us. Magic Carpet, we do not need in an aggro matchup, so let's just play out our... Actually, Snake? Snake is better against aggro. So I think let's quest for 1. Play Snake, bounce. So I find in pretty much every matchup, I'm just trying to curve out. So a 1-drop, a 2-drop, a 3-drop that are all efficient. But against aggro, I find I'm just trying to stop their threat. So this is great. We've got Fire the Cannons. I don't need this Chernobog's at this point. So we can play Fire the Cannons. I love this card against Piglet. We can quest, and then we can play our 2-drop. So yeah, in every other matchup, we're trying to curve and quest hard at the beginning. Against aggro matchups, we're just trying to trade off as much as possible until we can stabilize, and then we can start questing. So this is where I'm glad I played Snake. Yeah, so we can challenge here. I'm gonna ink the goat. And then we can play Fire the Cannons, take out Lilo, play Tinkerbell, quest. So they have 2 cards left. So let's just take this out. I actually find we have a good aggro matchup. I like being put against aggro. And the reason I don't play the aggro list oftentimes is I just like that this is just a little more versatile. It's not a full mid-range. Like there's the purple steel mid-range deck. And then there's the more controlling ones. And then there's the aggro ones. So the thing I like about this tempo deck is it can be super aggressive, but you can pivot and you can control if you have to. So again, in this case, we can smash the White Rose. The White Rose seems good. I think that could be good in this deck. We're good for cards at the moment. We might out-aggro the aggro deck. And again, they went first. Yeah, okay, so we got this one. That was too easy. So again, them going first, we just controlled all their early threats and quested for a lot, which is what we do. Okay, try again. I'm just using a free software, a Chrome add-on, Screencastify, so I have very unsophisticated recording materials here. This is probably going to time out at some point. Maleficent, I won in every other matchup except for aggro. It's not great, but it's our only 1-drop, so actually on a mulligan is pretty useless in this matchup. Okay, this stuff I don't need now, but I might want later. Tink is a beating in this matchup if we can shift onto our 3-drop Tink, so I'll keep these cards. We did get that. So we don't have a turn 1, which is our only downside. Okay, yeah, Daisy's definitely one of the more annoying ones. So let's ink. I mean, we don't need 2 big Tinkerbells, I don't think. So we'll pass. Smee is going to be our better turn 2 play because he is a lot stronger than Mr. Arrow. I do like, though, with Daisy Duck is they let us draw cards, which is kind of awesome. Fire the Cannons is so good in this matchup, though. I would love to see some Fire the Cannons. All right, so let's ink Mr. Arrow. We don't need that right now. Play Smee. So oftentimes in this matchup, they kind of get to like 13, 14 lore when we stabilize. Unless they get like the nuts. Okay, more cards for us. I might keep Billy Bones just in case they have like a Chromacon or something. Okay, so I'm going to ink Chernoboggs. I'm going to play Tink with the hopes that we get the good Tink. We will just get rid of this Donald Duck now. And that's going to kill off our Smee, unfortunately. But we don't mind. In this matchup, we just trade until they run out of cards. And Tinkerbell is so good for that. Yeah, we'll take a Pluto. Fox 2 is really good for taking out Daisy Ducks. Okay, so let's ink. We don't need this castle at the moment. Okay, so play Tink. So it's going to kill. Unfortunately, we have to challenge there. Gonna do 2 damage there. So they've got 2 cards left. We have a mitt full of cards. And they're, yeah, as I said, like kind of 14 is I find where they get to. They're at 16 now. That's getting up there. We're going to lose our library. That's fine. This is where Tinkerbell's so good though, right? In the aggro matchup. So challenge. Hit Piglet. And now we want to get questing. I don't think we need the snake. So let's go Billy Bones Quest for 2. And I guess we just play Chernoboggs. I don't know. This is where a Maleficent or, some more 2-drops would be good. Okay, they have the Chromacon, which is interesting. That's why we kept Billy Bones, so... Okay, smash, that's good. So, 16. This is getting